Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you all are doing well with all the crazy times we're living in and exciting times we're living in. Actually, I feel really honored and excited to be on Earth at this time because there's just so much. It's kind of like a suspense movie, roller coaster ride all rolled in one, and it's a lot of fun, actually.
Glad God's writing it.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, but today I am welcoming back to my channel Reverend Sarah Nash. I'm excited to have her here today. Thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you who haven't seen my past two videos with Sarah, Reverend Sarah Nash is a ordained minister. She's a Melchizedek priest. She is also the founder of the White Light Express at least 2 or more decades ago, which is an intercessory prayer and world peace organization, nonprofit organization. She is also the founder of Cosmic Triage, and she does crisis counseling, trauma counseling, grief counseling, all sorts of counseling. She's a spiritual response therapist. She's also, are you the founder of the Quantum Light Reiki, or you just helped create?
Yeah, I created Quantum Light. Well,
yeah,
okay, no, it wasn't me, it's God.
Okay, God created Quantum Light Reiki.
So yeah.
And Sarah was the vessel to bring it through to the world. But Quantum Light Reiki.
Quite a few of us. But thank you. Yeah, I've been tasked with putting it together. So thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. But she does amazing things. She's helped thousands of clients. She's also a psychic medium. Unlike myself, who cannot talk to dead people, Sarah is able to do that, and she's fantastic.
What I can't do, you do.
Yeah. We complement each other really well because she does all the things that I don't like to do and can't do, and then I do the opposite. So we're a nice complement to each other. But anyways, welcome.
You're dark.
yeah, welcome back, Sarah, and I'm excited to have you. So today what we're talking about, the subject is labyrinths. Some of you may know what a labyrinth is, and some of you may not. There's a picture of one right behind Sarah's head.
This is called the Man in the Maze Labyrinth, but I'll make sure that you have plenty of links to labyrinths. So
cool. All right. Yeah, I will be placing all sorts of links in the description after we're done here chit-chatting. But for now, I have questions for you, and the kind of questions I have are questions that people will have in my audience who have never heard of a labyrinth, or maybe they've heard the word but they don't really understand what it is. So what is a labyrinth exactly? Can you explain that?
Okay, well, the difference between a labyrinth and a maze, and because when I first heard of labyrinths, I was thinking of David Bowie in the movie Labyrinth, and a labyrinth as in the Minotaur, the Grecian labyrinth where you get lost, and see, that's the difference. A maze will have many twists and turns and dead ends, and you can get lost in a maze. You cannot get lost in a labyrinth. There's one way in and one way out in the traditional labyrinth. Nowadays, they're creating other labyrinths where like a wedding labyrinth where they have like 2 entrances, and so people come in and then they leave as one. And so, I mean, people are getting very creative with labyrinths. And so, but the traditional labyrinth is a classical labyrinth, and it looks like a brain. It's kind of like it's got this little curve on it, and I should have had a show and tell, but of course, we were too busy talking. But there's lots of links. So go to labyrinthsociety.org, and you can go to Veritas, but I'm on the board of the Labyrinth Society. I'm actually I'm in their communications team. I'm part of their PR and their media, which is one of the reasons why I was so grateful to Kimberly for inviting me on, because reaching more people, because World Labyrinth Day is coming, and that's the first Saturday in May. And so there's going to be a new website getting unrolled for that, or rolled out, unrolled. Words. But so the difference between a labyrinth and a maze is a maze you can get lost in, and there's dead ends and what have you. For a labyrinth, a traditional labyrinth, there's one way in and one way out. You walk to the center and there's twists and turns. Now, so the classical labyrinth, the one that looks like a brain, It's kind of got that, it's very beautiful, and very cozy looking too. But then there's the medieval, and that's the labyrinth that most people are familiar with. It's a very beautiful design. Those are my birds, by the way.
Oh.
I have little society finches. Every time I start talking, I forget. The worst thing I did was bring them into my office. But the Chartres Labyrinth in France is the one that most people are familiar with. It's that perfectly round labyrinth, and it has the floret design in the center. So I actually, if with your permission, I would love to read to you this really funny, because I told Tom that I was going to read this in this interview. And so he said it was okay.
Okay.
But Tom Vetter is an admin. If you go online to, and all of these are on Facebook too, but he's the admin for the Labyrinth and Sacred Play. And so he's going to be doing this Labyrinth road trip. But he wrote a Labyrinth joke book, and it's like, what's so funny about Labyrinth? So here was this Labyrinth sign, and no one knew what to think when this sign appeared at the entrance of this labyrinth. It said, "This is an alien spacecraft disguised as a labyrinth. We will be departing soon for our home galaxy. Enter with caution." And shortly thereafter, the labyrinth did indeed disappear, and a few people from his town were missing, believe it or not. So Florida is known for its sinkholes. So when the call came into the police station about a bottomless hole appearing in the center of the town, the squad cars were dispatched to secure the area. But soon they found more than what they expected. For one thing, the hole was perfectly round, and for another, the sides of the hole appeared to be terraced pathways as far as the eye could see into it. This was definitely not an ordinary sinkhole. And when someone in the crowd shouted, "It looks like a labyrinth to me," they decided to consult with Dr. Laura Labyrinski, a renowned labyrinth researcher who was quickly flown in from California in a fighter jet at the government expense. She walked around the hole several times, scrutinizing its design and its detail. She gazed quizzically at the meandering pathways leading into the depths of the hole, and then she made a statement. "This is definitely a labyrinth. And there's a mystery down there, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it." Then she set off on the path and soon disappeared from sight. What happened to her, you ask? Believe it or not, when she reached the bottom, she experienced a breathtaking, pulsating, mind-blowing, kaleidoscopic whoosh, and then surprisingly found herself standing in the center of the Chartres Cathedral Labyrinth. She was the first person ever to traverse a labyrinth wormhole. Ooh. And so there you go.
That's so funny. That's hilarious. But I was there.
Yeah.
I went to Chartres and I walked around the labyrinth, but they had chairs over it, so it was kind of hard because it's in the middle of the cathedral. It's in the middle.
Yeah, they have usually days that they allow people to come.
Yes.
In. And I have a very good friend Jan Sprague, who actually built or actually rebuilt the secret garden labyrinth for the monks behind Chartres. The Labyrinth Society came in and they did that. So what is a labyrinth? A labyrinth is, my motto is Solvitur Abalande. Rabalando, sorry, I know you speak Italian, so Solvitur Abalando. It is solved by walking. And that's what St. Augustine said. And so I know now the work that I use my labyrinth for is as a rescue medium. I walk with the people who really feel as though they still have their mothers or fathers or husbands or brothers or sisters or loved ones that haven't passed over, or they themselves need to work with that energy. And I know you've walked my labyrinth so many times.
Yes, I have walked your labyrinth many times.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Speaking of which, Sarah has the most beautiful labyrinth that she built in her backyard. And how many hours and how much time did it take you to build that labyrinth? How long does it take to build
it took us over a year. I have a little video online that I made for the Labyrinth Society of the process of it, the evolution, and it was actually dedicated in 2014. Wow. 2014 or 2000? Yeah, 2014. And I've had some pretty interesting people, celebrities, some of my clients, and you. But yeah, it's a really beautiful place where I think, and every labyrinth has its own feeling. Like when you walk that huge labyrinth in Sedona, and I can't remember the name of the center of, there's a lot of labyrinths. You can go to labyrinthlocator.com and put in your zip code, and it can tell you. We actually have an app out there, and we've got over 10,000 labyrinths now. Actually, over 10,500 labyrinths.
Wow.
My knowledge, that and more. And we're
Wow.
actually developing an app for mobile phones. It'll hopefully be out very soon. But yeah, so each labyrinth has its own feeling and its own, sometimes, I mean, they're very healing. My labyrinth was built, we put 3 pieces of rose quartz. So we put 3 little spheres of rose quartz behind the lavender, underneath the lavender that we planted all around the perimeter. So, and as you know, my labyrinth is all about love. And then we have this
Right.
amethyst in the center of it.
Yeah, which clears all the negative energy. And so does the lavender, the violet flame, it clears all the negative energy.
And yeah,
So,
and you know, there was that I have that image of that portal that was right at the front that I took just God, a couple of months ago. It was
wow.
I didn't show up like when I was taking the pictures, and so it only showed up in one. And so that's why I know that labyrinths are vortices, and they actually help heal the earth. If you look where they are all over the earth, you know, it helps with the earth's Merkaba. The Merkaba of the, and so as you walk into my labyrinth, it's about happy endings and happy beginnings. So I have a lot of people that, you know, are suffering, because I am a trauma recovery specialist, and I'm soon to be certified in that too, by the way. My goal was to help people who have been traumatized through abduction and through cult programming, because, you know, my history. But yeah, I mean, that trauma, that post-traumatic stress, that PTSD from being abused, you know, by the cosmic realm, if you will, is very real, and people don't take that seriously. I mean, they will soon, you know.
Yeah, really soon everybody will be taking it seriously.
Exactly. Which is why I wanted to really step in and let people know that each time they walk a labyrinth, they can invite their ancestors in. They can invite their ancestors in and help heal that epigenetic trauma that so many of us carry, and the history that we have. If you think about it, I mean, you were formed in your grandmother, right? It's like when your mother was in your grandmother's womb, you were already being formed, because of, you know, we're as women, we're born with the eggs that we have already. So, I mean, if we think about how, if you just keep traumatizing a race or a people in a certain religion, I mean, these are the things that we have to look at. And these are the things that we have been charged to, in my opinion, my not so humble opinion, like, who's going to clean up this mess? And
Right.
that's why, you know, I'm really grateful for the work that you do, Kimberly, because, you know, it's like you and I have talked for years. Who's going to clean up this mess?
Yes, right? We're like the cleanup crew and the fix
Well,
it,
I don't
you
have
know,
a mop and I don't have any brooms, but I do have a labyrinth. So World Labyrinth Day is the first Saturday in May every year, and we've done it for 13 years now. The Labyrinth Society actually started it. There's quite a few different programs that we're working with this year. We're working with the Australian Labyrinth Network, and I love those. Oh my gosh. Well, I love everybody. Hereditas, the Connections, the Big Connection, and it's a rolling wave of peace, and we all walk as one at one. So it really is about releasing and renewing. And so, I mean, there's a lot of resources available on our website about how to make your own labyrinth, because there's seed designs. I love the seed design of the classical labyrinth. That's the easiest one. When I go to the beach and I just draw it out, you know, because it begins with a cross, basically. And all, you know, you invite in the directions. So Anyways, I'll stop talking. Go ahead, ask me some.
So what is the history? So I know that monks, like Catholic monks, have been meditating and walking labyrinths for almost 2,000 years. But I also have heard the labyrinths go back even farther than the history of the Catholic Church, that they go back maybe thousands of years. So what is the actual
Oh yeah,
history?
thousands of years. And that's
Okay.
just it. The history of the labyrinth itself. I mean, they have found labyrinths at not Gobekli Tepe. Did I say that right? Gobekli Tepe?
Yeah, it's Gobekli Tepe or
Oh,
something
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
words,
If you
darling.
watch the Ancient Aliens show, they show it all the time
Yeah.
on Talk
Well,
About.
they have found the labyrinth design in so many in different temples, and they just released one too. And again, you know, I didn't have all my show and tell. But yeah, the classical labyrinth design, they have found it drawn in rocks and temples. Thousands, hundreds, like hundreds of thousands of years. They have them on planets everywhere. Probably
Well,
do.
I think Pompeii, you know, I went to Italy less than a couple of years ago, I think,
Yeah, you've
something
been
like
there a
that.
couple of times.
Yeah, well, I've been there a few times, but the last time I went to Pompeii, and they actually had drawings of labyrinths on walls in Pompeii,
Well,
Italy,
they
and that
have
was
them
like
in the
Roman.
desert sand in
Yeah.
India. And I mean, they show up because, well, essentially it is a cosmic design. It is meant actually, they, from, there are lots of different reasons why they feel that labyrinths, I mean, Veritas goes with labyrinth facilitator training, and they tend to be more of the, not woo-woo, but more of
Right.
the
More
general
esoteric, esoteric.
meditation,
Yeah.
like part of the what I would call the cosmic cleansing route. And the Labyrinth Society is like me, more scientific, more like why do we have labyrinths? What is the meaning beyond it? Because I mean, now we know that it is mathematical in design, all right, and it's a perfect design. And I also know that, like Stanford and I know the Windbridge Institute did some studies on it, but I know Stanford, I believe it was Stanford and Berkeley, they have hooked people up to EEGs. And when they walk a labyrinth, certain parts of the brain fire. By the time you reach the center, though the meridian in your brain, it's crossing. So it is actually, each time you make a turn, a portion of your brain lights up. And so they're using labyrinths they're showing up like Hudson Hospital in Wisconsin. I mean, it has a beautiful labyrinth in the back, and they're one of the cutting edge consciousness healthy places where they've taken allopathic and homeopathic medicine and put them together. And naturopathic medicine, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If anybody ever has a chance to go visit Hudson Hospital in Wisconsin, it is just a tremendously beautiful place. But labyrinths are showing up everywhere. So
Right.
we're not knocking it, not knocking it, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
right way to walk a labyrinth in this time. So, you know, you want to maintain proper physical distancing. I don't like the word social distancing because we need each other. But so, you know, just walk in and you can run, jump, skip, be happy. I mean, there's a huge labyrinth out. I have it on my YouTube channel. Not my YouTube channel, my Twitter, the image of it at the Seattle Science Center. And there's kids that are jumping around and all the time, and they just have it painted on the ground out there. But you know, be respectful of the people that are there. If there's anybody there, don't talk loudly. Try to stay between the lines.
Yeah.
And you know, basically, if you're walking a labyrinth with someone and they're walking slowly in front of you, it's okay to just step around them. And if somebody is coming out of the labyrinth and they're on your path, you know, it's okay to step aside. You know, nothing horrible is going to happen if you step aside. It's just about being conscious and mindful and respectful. For my labyrinth, some people say that it's important to walk out, and you know, when you walk in, you have to walk the path out. I don't think that's always necessary. Some labyrinths are about healing, some are about grief, some are about anger. You know, there was the one out in Sedona, the one that I walked, was very alien, and the wind just came in, and it was about cleansing and like, why are you here and what are you doing? And so some people think the labyrinths were the sigils for an alien civilization. I mean, there's so many different things that people think.
A lot of theories. Yeah, lots of theories.
Yeah.
My biggest theory is it's great for meditation. I mean, I use it when I go to your place and I use your labyrinth. I meditate while I'm walking in it. I use it as a walking meditation because walking meditation is so healing for your body, mind, and spirit. You know, it's amazing.
Well, you're a master. I mean, you master meditator. I've watched you just drop into it. I mean, like, I seriously, folks, I just, I mean, I've been there and I've seen her just kind of go, and then she's out.
Pretty zen.
It's not a game. I mean, she does it.
Yeah,
so,
I'm serious about it.
I'm just always like, wow, okay. I mean, that's to be respected. But for me, meditation for me, like every step of my day is like a meditation. And as you know, I'm a smoker. I'm working on it. But
you're human. Everybody has human problems and issues that they're dealing with. So
my tobacco, for me, my tobacco use, which, you know, I smoke a few cigarettes a day, about 5, 8 cigarettes. And I've always done that, except for when I was pregnant. But maybe I should have. All my kids, I love them. But it's a cleansing, and I use tobacco in the center of my labyrinth too. You know, pure tobacco. I use it in prayer ties, and you know, I'm kind of a starlight shaman, if you will, shaman. But yeah,
when like Vito Mucci, he calls himself a starlight shaman too. He's amazing. Vito Mucci, he calls himself the starlight. Yeah, Vito. Yeah, really? He calls himself the starlight shaman.
That's great. Interesting. I did not know that. You know what? I should gift him I have starlightshaman.com. I should give it to him. Maybe I should do that.
You should ask him if you want to.
So yeah, just meditation. I have started walking my labyrinth, and I have like my friggin' grocery list. Like I'm thinking I need to get this, I need to get that, and then I'll turn. And then I'll be thinking about my kids. And then I'll turn again, and then I'll be thinking about getting my car repaired. And then I'll turn again, and then suddenly my mind is quiet. And then suddenly I'm looking at the grass, and I'm paying attention to my footsteps, and I'm breathing better, because really it is about your breath. You know, the breath work. And
that's pretty trippy that you just said that, because right after we do this interview, I'm going to be doing a video on breath work. And that was my plan for today.
Awesome.
I had that planned like a week ago, that after we do this, I was going to do a breath work video. So
good. Well, I'm going to be interested in watching that, because you're very good at what you do. So yeah. Anyways, so go ahead, ask me more questions. Otherwise,
yeah. Well, so I mean, the biggest question is, so what is the actual purpose of the Labyrinth Society? Like, what are all the different things they do? Like, I know you guys have an annual meeting, and you have speakers that come from all over the world and talk about different subjects. So, what are all the things that they do in the Labyrinth Society?
Well, our goal really is to increase global consciousness with regard to global consciousness and education regarding the labyrinth and its many uses, and to gather as many people. See, again, I'm oversimplifying it, but because, you know, Veritas is a great organization, but I was looking at Veritas many years ago. You know what? Let me tell you. I walked my first labyrinth at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco on my 33rd birthday. And I drove with my girlfriend from Big Sur, where I was living, to Grace Cathedral. And I'd done a little research on it, but I guess I didn't know what to expect. And so I wasn't sure, and Grace Cathedral has a beautiful labyrinth. I mean, and so Lauren Chartres is the first labyrinth facilitator out there, and I think she's like the founder of Veritas. and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But it's got more of a spiritual angle. Veritas does, and the Labyrinth Society tends to be. We took up the mantle of education, global outreach, the science behind it, the building of labyrinths, and kind of the art behind it. Whereas Veritas keeps it in a capsule that is really, I think, very reverent and spiritual. Although now we're doing a lot of crossing over. But so the Labyrinth Society has, you know, we've been now for 21 years, and I'm jumping around. The Labyrinth Society. But I walked my first labyrinth on my 33rd birthday at Grace Cathedral, and I have to tell you, by the time I got to the middle, I didn't want to leave. And it was one of the more like as you know, I've had some pretty weird experiences and very cosmic and far out things happen in my life, and things I wish people could explain, but they can't. But I got to the center of that labyrinth, and there were like about 60 other people in the room, the cathedral, walking around. And I just thought to myself, what if I could stay here forever? I had this, I was at such peace. I was at such peace, and I started laughing, and I started chuckling, and you know, it's like I had to really watch myself, because I was thinking I could just, you know, make sure that people bring me food, and I'd have a little tent. It's like, woman refuses to leave center of labyrinth, and that's life. You know, and it's interesting, as you walk a labyrinth, you get really close to the center. Like it's like you walk in, and then suddenly you can see the center, but you're not there yet. And that's kind of like how life is. It's like you have an idea, a plan, a goal, and you start, and you walk it, and you can see where you want to go. Hopefully you've laid out your goals and your plan accordingly, and you can see the end result, but you still got to walk there, and you still have to put in the work. And who knows, there's so many varying levels and layers to what is a labyrinth. But the Labyrinth Society decided to take up the mantle of, how are we going to also honor the scientists and the people who may not be religious or even spiritual, but they still are interested in the legacy of the labyrinth and what it can offer us. So it was very interesting. Toby Evans, she has a ranch out in Wyoming, Montana. Oh God, Toby, don't get angry. She was the first energy keeper, and that was what I did as a board member initially when I joined the board. The energy keeper is basically the priest or priestess, the chaplain, the pastor of the Labyrinth Society. And so the first meeting that they had 21 years ago, they were sitting there and they had their whole plan, and Toby was there, and she said, wow, I'm not really good at this, and this, but I'm really good at holding space. And so the people there, the ones that were with Toby, they went and they had 12 points that they wanted to make for creating the organization. And they wrote a 13th, energy keepers. And they took it seriously. They didn't, I mean, it was initially meant to be kind of a, you know, like but it was a very serious thing. And now our current energy keeper, I brought her in, Sandra Walden. She's knocking it out of the ballpark. My God, she's amazing. But yeah, so you need somebody to hold this space. And that's what I do. I hold space for people as they recover. I think more importantly, that's what the Labyrinth does for everyone.
This is an international organization, right? The Labyrinth Society. Yeah. Okay. It's all over the world. We've got
members. We've got a board member who's Lithuanian, Ruda. We've got somebody from Australia, Ireland, and Great Britain. Yeah, it is global, and that was always the intention, as is Veritas, I believe. I don't know much about Veritas. I should probably look, but they're offering, if you get in early, I think today is what, the 24th? Yeah. They're starting their second Labyrinth facilitator training online. It starts tomorrow. I think it goes for like 4 days.
If I had one in my yard, I'd want to have like, well, during this flu thing or virus thing that's going around, I can't do that, but I would love to have a labyrinth and have like community like meditations where the community could come on a certain day of the month or something and walk.
Absolutely.
Labyrinth.
Those are actually on our events calendar. Yeah. I'm a regional rep for this area. Although we actually have a few labyrinths out here. The guy who wrote Frank Herbert, the author of Dune.
Dune, yeah.
He's passed, but he lives out, or he lived out by where I live, and I've been wanting to go to his labyrinth because he actually wrote Dune here where I live on the tip of the Puget Sound. So.
Wow, I never knew that. I didn't know. I know you have a whole bunch of famous people in your town and in your area.
Yeah, we do. We do.
And stuff. Yeah.
It's one of those places. It's like Eureka or Haven. It's a destination for real. We have a lot of really strange people here.
Yeah, a lot of interesting. Well, they call it the blue hole too, and they also see a lot of UFOs in that area, and also a lot of Bigfoot. A lot of Bigfoot sightings.
I watch those big flashes almost every night. Usually in the summer you can see them, but yeah, some of the cloud formations they've been having lately. Holy,
pretty cool, huh?
Like you're really, I mean, it's so obvious.
A lot of them are Pleiadian light ships trying to disguise themselves, but they don't do a very good job because I can see them really well.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're trying to do a good job. They could do it, but I mean, if they wanted to. But yeah, it's to keep the muggles from freaking out.
Right. They're keeping all the, you mean the third density people, the people that are still in third density.
Okay.
So. Well, they are. I mean, the fifth density people are all having these kind of experiences. Everybody I talk to, all my clients, everybody I'm working with who's all fifth density.
I think most people are about at 4.8 now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going back and forth and teetering between 4 and 5, 4 and 5.
Yeah, and thank God for that, because that's never happened before. I mean, there's this huge schism between the haves and the have-nots, and I'm not talking about money.
Right.
People that
soul and spirit and consciousness and all of that. It's really all about consciousness. But what I'm finding is that all of the people who are awake are having a lot of these, not only seeing like ET ships, but they're actually communicating, like telepathically communicating with different beings, you know, Pleiadians and, you know, Illyrians and all these different beings. I'm meeting more and more people that are having conversations like on a daily basis with these extraterrestrials that are here helping the planet, the good ones. So
I would like to also recommend that people use a labyrinth to dump fear. Because I don't know about you, but some of my clients have been just terrified at some of the things that are happening that they can't explain.
Yeah.
And I actually had a client recently say, and she had an experience with an entity, an elemental. And she was terrified. And I said, are you sure it was negative? Because see, what we think of, because let's remember, we have been, I don't know what we can say, but, you know, what do you call it? MSM?
Brainwashed, yeah, called the MSM brainwashing.
Yeah, and so a lot of people have been motivated, manipulated, if you will, to think that something, I mean, okay, so here, I'll just describe it for you. What she described to me was I don't know if you've seen the dark crystal Fizzgig, that little, well, Fizzgig is Fizzgig. And I've seen those before. And the Japanese, or excuse me, the Chinese have food dogs, which are actually lions. And they are protectors. And so I told her, I said, are you sure this wasn't just like an elemental, like in protection mode? Because she's really waking up and she's like, oh my God. She goes, yeah, I wondered how it could possibly get into my house because I'm so protected. And I'm like, yeah. So it's that ability, walking a labyrinth will give you the ability to drop into your heart because you remember that movement and that feeling. And it really, I mean, really, the first time you walk one, you're going to remember, your brain is going to remember, because there are some things that they cannot take. When I say they, you know,
Yeah.
But yeah, they can.
You mean the puppeteers, the little puppeteers? Yeah, we'll call
They
them the
can't take
puppeteers.
away the
With the C word.
wiring that God has given us. It is our divine right. And so when you begin walking a labyrinth, I mean, I'm telling you, man, those puppet strings go off.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're taking back our sovereignty, and I think walking a labyrinth can help you to take back your sovereignty.
we've never
your
lost
mind.
it. See, that's just it. In my opinion, we've never lost it. They wanted us to think we did. Now we're owning it and we're saying, yeah. And so, yeah, taking it back, sure. But you know me in words. I'm all about words are spells. And so,
right, they are spells. You have to be careful what you speak out of your mouth at all times.
Exactly, right? And the universe is intelligent, but taking it back, no, owning it, because they also have sovereignty. And so honoring and loving that and finding that balance, which is the other thing that labyrinths do. It brings balance back.
Yes.
That it helps you find your equanimity. So there are just so many amazing things that that labyrinths can do. And oddly enough, when I fell and I hurt myself right before Christmas, I actually got up and walked a labyrinth that day. And I think it helped heal me, because I have not been able to walk since. No, well, okay, that's an exaggeration. I have not been able to walk without a limp, but thank God, you know, it was just a sprain. So.
Interesting. I feel like I should ask you who it is that's standing behind me and touching my head, because somebody's touching me on the head right now, very obviously.
I know you have a very white glow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
there's literally somebody standing behind
Magdalene.
me.
It feels very Magdalene. It feels very feminine,
and
it's more than just one. Actually,
yeah.
It's more. It's like I'm seeing like a shadow behind, like it, and it's all on your right side too.
Yeah.
Well,
there's somebody.
Now it just
there's at least one or two beings standing behind me right now. I don't want to turn around and see who it is, but yeah.
Yes, but you're not supposed to. I mean, for me, I mean, it's like, but yeah, I can actually see 3 or 4, and you do have an aura. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I could just feel them touching my head. I mean, they let me know that they're there. When they come in, they'll touch me on
Maybe
my
they're letting you know it's time. Time's up.
No, they don't, because they've been doing it the whole time for quite a while now. They just keep tapping throughout this conversation. They're tapping me, I think they're just letting me know that they like the conversation.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, we've been talking long enough. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good. But I mainly wanted to just talk to you about these labyrinths, because I really think now, and honestly, the main reason that I wanted to do this interview with you is because of the fact that so many people are going through a lot of conflict, you know, emotional conflict with all the things happening on the planet right now. And they're going through ascension symptoms. They're going through political, you know, ideology conflicts, you know, just different types of conflicts that they're going through. Family opposition, like people like myself, who have family members who are not on board with my belief systems and, you know, are attacking you and that type of thing. So a lot of people have a lot of unrest going on. And I think that they need things like labyrinths to help them get that peace and that calm. So any of you watching this, if you have a church in your neighborhood or anywhere where you know there's a labyrinth, I really recommend you go and you walk it, because it's a great way to balance both hemispheres of your brain, to get peace in your life, to meditate. And
labyrinthlocator.com.
Labyrinthlocator.com, and you can find where they're at, and they're all over the world. They're in every country. They even have them in Japan. They've got them everywhere. So pretty much, right?
Yeah. And you can also do finger labyrinth walks. Veritas does a finger labyrinth walk online. If you go to Veritas's website, and Kimberly will put the links below. Yes. But they do a finger labyrinth walk every Friday. So you can just, I know you do finger labyrinth walks all the time.
Yes. So, yeah, because I don't have any labyrinths in the area where I live. And so because we don't have any in this area, I will get a picture of a labyrinth and I will use my fingers and I will meditate. Tall surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for having me on. And I appreciate your time and effort. I can't wait to see you soon.
Oh, I know. We haven't seen each other in person in what, like a year and a half or more. It's been
Yeah,
over a year and a half. That's
2020,
crazy.
man. It's the year nobody got to see each other.
Right. I know it's going to go down in history as the year nobody got to see their family, nobody got to hang out with their friends,
No
nobody got
hugs.
to,
No hugs
yeah,
for you today.
no one got to go have a beer at the bar, I mean, all those different crazy
Well,
things.
we don't
Unfortunately,
need to do that either.
it's sad, but 2021, I really believe, and I'm going to leave it with this, that I feel very confident that we're moving into a positive direction. It may not seem so positive right now in this moment, but I think we are moving into a positive direction, and I have hope and faith that it is going good direction.
I'm in alignment with that. Yes, always moving forward. And remember, depression is caused by living in the past. Anxiety is caused by living in the future. Stay present and walk a labyrinth.
Namaste. Thank you everyone for joining us. And please,
Buddy,
and if you want to contact Sarah, I'll have her links to her website and
go
her
to
contact.
whitelightexpress.org.
Yeah,
I'm
White Light
taking down my
Express.
other stuff but yeah.
Because well, you're going to redo everything with all your new stuff that you have going
Yeah,
on.
I have to. Yes. So, all right.
Yes, thank you. And if you like this video, please like it. Please share it with anyone you know. Please sign up and subscribe so that you know when new videos hit the little dinging button there on the side. What is it, the bell or whatever, so they know when new videos come out.
I don't do YouTube videos, babe. That's
Yeah.
your thing.